I got my diagnosis when I started feeling unwell. I was taken to the hospital, and afterwards I was told that I'm sick. And then my condition worsened. The process developed very quickly. I was again brought to a hospital with an ambulance, and everything was done very fast. They did a complete set of analysis, transferred me to a surgical division, and then I underwent a surgery, followed by a chemotherapy and radiotherapy. My condition continued to worsen with each chemotherapy session. My condition went downhill until the critical point where my life was hanging on the edge. Some people did tell me that there is such a center in Latvia, but something inside me stops me. Perhaps it was my belief that traditional medicine must help, and I did not think that my condition can worsen to such an extent, but it did, and I had such a terrible recurrence. I was in a terrible condition, again on the edge of life and death, and I was brought here. Here I met a wonderful doctor who gave me recommendations and brought me back to life in 2 weeks. And after 1 month, I started feeling completely normal. I had returned to life. I began to work, and I removed my disability groups, the second and afterwards the third. Currently I work, and I love my work. I love communicating with people. I bring them to Finland, to Riga, with a minibus. I'm a driver taking people to tourism trips. I love it, and I like that I can see the sun, the coast in Jurmala. This beautiful place, the most beautiful place which I really love, the coastal region. Actually, this is the place where I started my second life. I underwent surgery almost immediately. Half a year passed, and that half a year was a catastrophe for me. Every 3 weeks I had chemotherapy, and then 1.5 months was spent in 23 sessions of radiotherapy. Of course, that half year was a period in my life which I do not remember fondly. My life was slipping through my fingers. Before my last chemotherapy session, after which I could not get up anymore, I was told that there is something in Riga. Nobody told the exact place, but we found it on the internet. My relatives found what, where, and how, contacted the manager, wrote emails, made phone calls. And, of course, nobody expected that my condition would deteriorate to such a low point, neither me nor my relatives. Therefore, it's a pity that we waited for so long. Perhaps if we contacted them earlier, before my last chemotherapy, perhaps I would not feel what I felt, the bad feeling. Perhaps it would have taken less time to feel better again. Now I tell all my relatives, all the people around me, if for God's sake, if you should face such terrible misery, one must not linger. Every day is a treasure, every day. The sooner we start this effective treatment, the more the chances are to get better, and sooner one can become healthy again. Generally, I did not get up from bed, and 2 weeks later, I made my bed and didn't get in it until the evening. 2 weeks. 2 weeks made such a difference between my previous condition and what happened 2 weeks later. I started to walk. I didn't get into bed after 2 weeks, but after 1 week, I started to get up and walk. But after 2 weeks, it was amazing. I started to get up and walk. My immunity improved. I felt better. I followed all the recommendations I was given by the doctors. I was so content and happy. And 1 month later, I already took a group of tourists to Finland. Just 1 month later. Many hours spent in work. I was working with people. No one from the tourist group that I took for a trip 1 month later, they did not know that I have such a diagnosis. that 1 month before, I was lying helplessly on the bed. Therefore, I was really excited, and after that, I didn't even conceal it. My close associates, all my relatives know, all acquaintances, friends, they all know my story. They knew the condition I was in. I believe that it was a miracle. Therefore, I will not conceal it. I can tell to any person that, and I do if there is such an opportunity, that for God's sake, if something happens, there is a cure, a real cure. Well, me, I'm a real example. This isn't any advertisement. I'm just a regular person who lives. I was saved. I was saved here. I thanked my doctors. I thanked everyone and said, "You gave me a new life." And my life really started to go a different direction, because then one really starts reconsidering many things in life. You just look at everything with brand new eyes, at the sun, at the bleak weather, at the clear weather, at everything. I'm alive. One cannot transfer this feeling. I have goosebumps as I tell you this. Really, it is so impressive. And when people get stuck in unimportant issues and I find it difficult to manage it, I want to say, people, where are you looking at? What are you looking at? Pay attention to your health and the happiness that you're alive, that you have people around you. It is something worth paying attention to. But the rest is just a piece of cake. Everything is a piece of cake. One must live. After you smell death, and when you live, you really appreciate life, appreciate air. You appreciate everything, interpersonal relationships. Life becomes different. And I would like to wish people not to get stuck on unimportant issues, which are not nearly as important as life and health. One must think of health, life, and the people around you.